Hi, Kings Mountain. Well, we're back with updates with the city manager. I'm your city manager, Jim Palahniuk, and as you know, we like to use these bi-weekly updates to talk about issues of concern or topics in the community that maybe are educational or that allow people to understand a little bit more about local government. And today's topic in that regard is Moss Lake. And I think that's something some people know about, but I think perhaps you don't know the complete story. And let me tell you a little bit more about it. That is, the city of Kings Mountain, we provide ongoing potable water to all the households and the businesses and the manufacturers here in Kings Mountain. And of course, that requires a source for that water. And then the water is treated, and when you know then it comes to your home in the final process, that it is fully drinkable and it's good quality, and you know that you're getting quality potable water. Well, different communities use different sources for where they receive the initial water. Some communities use wells. Some communities take them out of an existing stream or lake. In the case of the city of Kings Mountain, we have Moss Lake. Moss Lake is actually a man-made reservoir. It's about 1,500 acres in size. It was created some years ago, several decades ago, when the community realized that they would be better served by having a substantial water reservoir that was dedicated exclusively as the source of water for the city of Kings Mountain. So at that point in time, it was created Moss Lake. So the city actually owns Moss Lake, but it is not just dedicated and segregated and set away as a reservoir. It's also a traditional lake where people live. They have homes that surround the lake. They enjoy lake activities out there. And over time, there has been actually many recreational and lake activities that have been done at Moss Lake. But always understanding that that is the city's singular and primary source for its potable water. So when you have a reservoir like that, you have to treat it a little bit differently than just any lake. And you have to be concerned about water quality. So, as I say, the city owns the lake, but it does not have any jurisdiction about or with regard to any of the properties that surround Moss Lake. So the people who live in the homes and that have properties immediately adjoining Moss Lake, they're residents of Cleveland County. They are not residents of the city. As such, they don't pay any taxes to the city. They don't vote for elections in the city. They're not really connected to the city, except that they live next to and immediately adjacent to this asset and piece of property that the city owns, which is Moss Lake. Now, unfortunately, their activity can very much negatively impact that lake. And I say that to say that had that been designed in the way that most people would think about a lake when you have a water reservoir and you're having homes surrounding it, you would have wanted to have a sanitary sewer system built for all those homes. That never happened. So you have all of those homes, several hundred, I think well in excess of 400, probably 500 homes, that are operating on septic systems and leach fields. If you know anything about the way a septic system and a leach field works, ultimately that septic system, that sewage, is draining out of that tank into a leach field, into the ground, under the ground, into an aquifer, and ultimately it's finding the lowest point within the aquifer system and ultimately making its way at some level into that lake. And of course, what does that do? It creates excess nutrients, and nutrients create algae bloom. The algae bloom is what's primarily responsible for the city's recent and recurring problems with taste and odor. Now, we've always been able to effectively treat that water, and it is never a danger to the public. There is never anything wrong with it. However, it is harder and more expensive to treat to get out the taste and odor issue, because you have to incur a lot more in the way of carbon treatment and more robust, significant treatment. It's more costly. And in that process, of course, you're doing it solely as a result of the fact that there is this algae bloom happening because of all these septic systems that surround the lake, as well as lawns that may have lawn fertilizer. It may be empty lots where livestock graze, or any number of things that are going to create these kinds of nutrients that wind up in the lake. So we've become a lot more concerned about that, and we're going to be looking at ways in the future to have those folks who otherwise are not contributing in any way to the city, they don't pay taxes to the city, to have a fee that will be attached to the fact that they are producing and creating negative effect environmentally on our lake and on our water reservoir. So look for some issues related to that in the future. Certainly will be taken up in the city's budget. The other thing with regard to Moss Lake, it is an incredible gem, and it's really underutilized and not nearly as accessible by the people in our community as it can be and it should be. There used to be a beach there years ago. We would love to see that come back. There used to be better recreational opportunities, more park opportunities, things of that nature. And we're making certain that as we look at the Parks and Rec Master Plan right now, which we're going through, that we really focus in addition on Moss Lake as a recreational opportunity. We think for young people, youth, families in our community, the opportunity to have a beach that might be available, 3/4 of the year, opportunities for families to come and just enjoy the beach, sand volleyball, a nice concession stand, places to just, again, hang out, enjoy by the lake, that would be great. So we're looking at things like that. We're looking at ways to improve our RV park. We actually have an island in the lake that could create some interesting either private sector or public opportunities for maybe dining, maybe entertainment, something like that. So there are more opportunities out there so long as we are very careful and sensitive the way that we develop them. And we always keep in mind that that lake is a water reservoir for the public, that we'd like to be able to do both things. That is, maintain this high quality reservoir and make certain that environmentally we are not causing damage to it. But at the same time, know that people love to be around a lake. There are great opportunities for fishing, for recreation, for just enjoying being around the lake. So we're going to look really hard at that and understand that we're becoming much more intentional about Moss Lake. It is a real gem. It's something that could be enjoyed more, can be accessed more. We want to look at those things, and we're excited by it. So if you have any specific ideas, don't hesitate. Let us know. Get in touch with us here at City Hall. Tell us about that. And at the same time, also, if there are ideas that you have for future episodes of Updates with the City Manager, we would love to hear them. So just, if you will, look at the contact information that you see on your screen, and don't hesitate. Let us know. What do you want to hear about in the future? We'd love to answer your questions, or maybe do some highlights on a topic that is of particular interest to the public. So again, don't hesitate. This week it was Moss Lake. You'll tell us what it is next week. And again, this was Updates with the City Manager. We'll see you at Kings Mountain.